Hi, my name's Lindsay Mockamer. I'm an engineer and project manager at Austin Energy, which is Austin, Texas's publicly owned utility company. And I work in green building, which means that I consult with design and construction teams, specifically at the airport, on how to make their new construction projects more sustainable. So, engineering in the building industry, I cover a lot of different disciplines, like building systems with energy efficiency and choosing materials that are healthy and have a low carbon footprint. I also deal with solar energy and if the teams are choosing to put solar installations on their roof. So I'm exposed to a wide range of concepts related to sustainability and green building and helping to make decisions about what the projects should choose to include. So I haven't always done this job specifically. I took a little bit of a winding path to get here. After high school, I went to college and I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a double major with environmental studies. When I graduated, I worked as a civil engineering design engineer for a number of years, but I was always really interested in sustainability. So I kept myself involved in local organizations, volunteering to do green building work. And eventually I found this position where I get to do green building work full time. I have a professional engineering license that I got after working for 4 or 5 years as an engineer. And I also have a LEED accreditation, which is leadership in energy and oh my goodness, leadership in energy and the environmental design. And that's a self-study certification. So I studied the material and I took a test and I can show that I have knowledge in that area. So those are the credentials I have, the education, and how I ended up where I am. So yeah, engineering is non-traditional for women. I knew I wanted to be an engineer or at least figure out what engineering was about when I was in high school. I was interested in science and I was decent at math. I wouldn't say that I loved math at the time, but because I had interest in those areas, I had a teacher that actually introduced me to engineering as a good career path if I have those interests. And so I started to explore different types of engineering and learned that it's a male-dominated field right now. I've always had support for pursuing a non-traditional field from my family, from professors and teachers that I had. And even when I started working, I've had mentors that have really helped me think about being a woman in the field and how it might feel a little different sometimes. And if it's been supportive kind of from all around on the way. So being a woman in engineer, specifically in the construction industry, means that it is not uncommon for me to be the only woman in the room or on the construction site. Most of the time, it's very inclusive and I'm valued for the expertise I bring to the table. Sometimes things happen where people assume that my male colleagues are the ones in charge when in reality I'm the one who's managing the project. Sometimes there will be situations that feel like kind of boys club where some of the men are in on a joke or a secret that I'm not in on, and it's just, or they'll apologize for cursing in front of me because I'm a woman. And it just makes me feel like they don't value me in the same way. But that's not the norm. It does happen. And when it does happen, it doesn't feel great. But for the most part, I have support and I'm looked at and valued for what I bring to the table, which is good. I love my job. I love what I do. I love solving problems. I love working in sustainability and mitigating climate change. I feel really passionate about the work that I do. I feel like having a purpose and feeling like I'm making a difference is something that gives me a lot of job satisfaction. And so, yeah, I really like what I do. I would say one of the hardest parts of my job is having to communicate about the engineering that I do. So not everyone speaks the same language. Sometimes I have to, I mean, figuratively, sometimes we have to write technical papers to communicate. Sometimes I have to make presentations and be really good at giving presentations. Sometimes I have to convince people that what we're doing is the right thing to do. And I have to learn to get good at understanding what people value. So communication, writing, presentation, speaking is some of the hardest parts about the field that I'm in. And the best part of my job is when I'm involved on a project that finally gets built and constructed, and seeing the end product of all of the hard work that went into design, and hiring the right contractors to do the work, and being involved as it's going up, seeing what's going in the ground, and when the steel comes out of the ground for a building, it's really satisfying to see the final product come to real life. In general, there aren't really specific physical or certification criteria for what I do. I do have an engineering license, which is a relatively common path to be on for civil engineering. And it does help me do the work that I do. I also have a LEED AP, which demonstrates that I'm knowledgeable in sustainability, and that's helpful. I have not had to be drug tested for any of the positions that I'm in, but I do know that it's pretty common in civil engineering, especially if you're working in construction and operating machinery, or on publicly funded projects can be pretty common. But personally, I haven't had to at this point, but it can vary from company to company. So my advice for choosing a career path is don't be too hard on yourself to make the right decision right away. You're going to have time to explore and figure out what feels good as you learn more about it. I also think it's been really helpful for me over the years to have a mentor or people who work in the field that I can ask about it, to ask the real questions about what it's actually like. And so if you have the chance, you can make some relationships with people and learn some stuff from mentors along the way.